This is Loggers and Loudmouths, Conversations Unfiltered.
Welcome back to another episode of Loggers and Loudmouths. We are on episode 31. We do have a special guest with us today, and this is going to be our official New Year's episode as well.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, no, we can recap our previous goals and talk about some maybe new goals for the upcoming year, but we'll get to that later on. Before we get to that, this is Cam. I know my voice does not sound like Cam. I am 2 days removed from the flu, so I haven't been replaced yet. Maybe in the future, we'll see.
We're working on it.
Yeah, no takers, unfortunately. Before we get to the actual episode and our guest today, let's drink some beer.
Yeah, man, we are going with some fancy stuff today. This is, we actually have two beers on the docket, but the first one is going to be Triceratops from Urban Artifact.
Is that its actual name?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So both of these are named after dinosaurs. Triceratops by Urban Artifact out of Cincinnati, Ohio. It is a fruited sour ale at
Good Lord. My eyes are twitching.
7.3% ABV, 3 IBUs, and a 4.14 rating on Untapped. It's a blend of wild-caught cultures curated to highlight the terror of the Ohio River.
Oh, it is delicious, but man, that'll pucker your cheeks. Look at the, what does the number on the back say? It's like 156 of something?
It is 156 out of 769, so it's a limited bottle release.
Nice. Yeah, we bought these a couple of years ago when we were up there for just a quick weekend trip.
It was for my birthday.
Yeah, and I figured they had corks, and since this is our New Year's special, it feels appropriate that we're doing corks and New Year's things.
Yeah. Had the cork, it had the cage top on it.
Yeah, fancy. What do you think?
Very sour.
Yeah.
But very, very well done. I can see why it's got that rating on Untapped. It feels like heartburn in a glass, but...
Yeah, by the end of this episode, I might not be here.
Yeah, but
half a sour gives me heartburn.
I can see why it's rated so highly. I mean, this is an incredibly well done sour. So
super
good.
Clean.
Yeah, you do get that. It says wild caught cultures, so it looks like they probably went out and probably curated some wild cultures and then kind of controlled it back in their lab.
No, this is the way I picture this. If you call me wild caught, I picture some guys out in the field with some nets, and they're chasing around goddamn cultures just trying to catch them with their nets.
That could be how they did it. But overall, I mean, it's really, really clean, if that makes sense.
It does.
For a sour.
No.
But good Lord, is it good.
And it's different than the sours we're used to. We're used to Zool sours, which are very fruit heavy, very puree heavy.
No, this is very...
I think I would consider this more traditional.
This is definitely a more traditional, what you think of a true sour to be. It's got the tartness. It's got that pucker factor. Like it is what the definition of a sour is.
Yeah. I mean, it's Urban Artifact. They do good. Anybody who knows anything about beer, Urban Artifact is, they're known for doing good stuff.
Yeah, they have a really, really like high-end label on it. They got a little wax stamp on the bottle too. So, nice. I mean, hell of a job, guys. I'm really excited for the next one we do here too.
What do you think, Tiff?
You know I love sours. That's why we bought
I know.
several while we were there. But if you haven't been to Urban Artifact, their actual location, it's really awesome. Their beer is delicious. If you're like me and you want the pucker your lips, earthy, funky sours, that's where you need to go.
It is. It's good.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And you guys know I'm not a huge sour fan, so it's good, yeah. All right, so as you can tell, Tiff is back on for her third episode. Does this make her the most, or ties her with maybe Bill?
Has Bill been on 3 times?
At least twice.
He's been on, no, it is 3, because we did the first one with him, we did Hot Wangs, and then we did one with him and Mark. So.
Okay, that's right. So yeah, he's been on 3, so you're tied with Bill. Welcome back, Tiff, the other Dr. Halfacre in the house. Today we're talking about death penalty. So we're going to kind of go down the road of whether or not we agree with it. We're kind of get some offshoot questions related to the death penalty, kind of, and then we're actually, our I guess we'll call it a fun topic, is going to be death row meals. So we're going to, it's all death penalty today. So
I feel like I'm on every episode where we talk about death.
Death and dying. Well, I mean
with your background, it makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. What was your first episode?
Physician-assisted death.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Fair enough. You're getting a reputation.
Super lighthearted, Tiff. Thank you.
Let's get drunk and talk about death. All right. So that is that's the premise of the episodes. The official question that I have typed out here is long-winded and unnecessary, but I'm going to read it anyway. Do you believe the death penalty serves as an effective deterrent to crime, or is it more of a societal response rooted in retribution? All right, before we get into the nitty gritty, I like to just kind of, before we kind of hash it out, what is your take? Yay or nay? Death penalty, pro or con? Or are you for or against?
I think
Don't give me any. Just yay or nay.
I think I'd be for if I had to choose between the two at a hard line.
Hard line. All right, Tiff, where are you at?
Hard line against.
Yeah, gun to my head right now, I am also for. We'll talk about, and
There's a lot of nuances.
There's a lot of nuances. Obviously, we're drawing a very hard line, and we're not getting in nitty gritty at this point, but we will, and perhaps we'll sway some opinions by the end. We'll see one way or the other. All right, so give us, Tyler, give us your rundown.
Yeah, so I kind of come at it two ways. I feel like you got to look at the death penalty very seriously, especially in a court of law. Dude, you are loving that beer, aren't you?
It's just so sour.
I think if the process works the way it's supposed to, I'm for it. Obviously, I think there are cases where there have been people wrongfully convicted and probably wrongfully put to death, which I don't think is a good thing. So I think we need to definitely be 100% positive before, making that judgment.
So you're for if we have definitive evidence against the person committing a heinous crime.
Yes, beyond a reasonable doubt.
I think that's kind of the line that I'm at too.
So in the past little bit, there have been 333 wrongfully convicted individuals exonerated through DNA, and about 24 of those people were on death row, so they would have been killed. So that's 24 people who are innocent. Now, if you look at estimates...
But then does that not negate our argument that it has to be definitive? Those weren't definitive then, right?
Well, that's the whole point of this conversation is how are we going to be definitive? Because guess what? The single greatest cause of wrongful convictions convicted in a court of law and sentenced to death is eyewitness error. 72% of those convictions were based on eyewitness testimonies.
No, and I agree. I don't think an eyewitness should be. That's not definitive in my mind.
No, I don't. It has to be.
I'd need you on camera.
Physical evidence,
Or,
DNA, something like that.
Well, that's not how our justice system works.
I don't.
I would like to push back on Tiff a little bit though, because I think those 24 people that you mentioned. That's obviously a tragedy, but I think it's statistically insignificant in comparison to how many people are on death row, because you're talking about a 1/100% in error.
But if that's your loved one and they're wrongfully convicted, it's not okay, period.
I understand.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but I think it gets back to the do we have definitive evidence? Obviously, in those cases, we did not. That's why they ended up getting off.
Eyewitness testimony, I don't think is sufficient to convict somebody and put them to death.
Exactly.
No.
There's too many things that could go wrong in the brain. I mean, we all know that.
I'll show you guys a video after this podcast. Neil deGrasse Tyson has a really good example that fits right into this, but
Does he?
I won't get into that here. But it's actually kind of comical.
6% of those people had confessed to crimes that they didn't commit because they were so under duress because of wrong tactics during interrogation.
I think that goes back to the system as well.
The system's flawed, clearly. I think we have a flawed system.
That's why it's bad. Like, we are
I
one
wouldn't
of the
I wouldn't say we have a flawed system.
We do.
I don't think it's perfect. Well, I mean, what would your solution be then?
I think you should, one, abolish the death penalty, but we can't talk about the overhauling of prison systems. That's not what we're here about. But the main reasons for death penalty convictions being overturned have been official misconduct, mistaken identity, false confessions, and just an inadequate defense, meaning someone didn't have enough money to defend themselves. And it's obviously a reflection of a larger problem, but if you were to guess where we, are in terms of our justice system and what countries we most align with, who would you say?
China.
Probably
China. I think China actually has the highest number of death penalties. If I was looking,
I'd say China, the Middle East, somewhere in there.
Iran, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, as opposed to
the countries that we're always
European counterparts.
So you're saying that there's no situation and no amount of definitive evidence that would justify putting somebody to death for a absolutely heinous crime.
Well, all right, let's get into the crimes then. What do we? Let's get into that. Do we think obviously petty theft, things like that, and obviously drugs? I think we would all be in agreement that those are not death worthy. What is death worthy?
I think you're talking about the highest of the high. I think.
Well, in the U.S., it is murder.
Okay.
And treason, interestingly enough. Now, that's a road we can't go down, but how do you decide if someone's treasonous against the United States, even if they haven't killed anybody?
Again, unless
I think there's different levels of treason, too.
there are. I mean, we
Like
just
there's-
watched Oppenheimer yesterday, and he was being considered as a treason for giving. He did not, but secrets to Russia.
I think, in my opinion, it should be like, I can't remember what the classes are called. Is it like a class 1 murder or something like that? Like something with intent and...
That is, yes. So murder 1 is premeditated. Murder 2 is not
So
premeditated.
murder 2 is like you hit somebody with your car.
No, that could be manslaughter. There are varying degrees, but the premeditation makes it murder 1.
Yeah, I think premeditated murder, mass murder, things of that nature, any physical or sexual crime against a child,
Yeah.
I would say probably falls into that category.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think if you're, again, provided we have definitive, legit, it's got to be on, in my opinion, it's got to be on camera, because there are too many wrongful convictions and there are too many he said, she said stories out there that we can't prove definitively.
I think the death penalty should be, I mean, the highest burden of proof.
Of course.
But I kind of want to go back to what I asked Tiff. So you don't think there's a crime out there that is worthy of putting somebody else to death?
If you had asked me that 5 years ago, I would tell you yes. And I got reflecting on this, one, because I have been super interested in the Innocence Project, and that's a different offshoot, but what separates us, Homo sapiens sapiens, from bonobos, chimpanzees, and our other animal counterparts, if you will?
I'd say we're,
A larger brain.
larger brain, more intelligent. We're further down the evolutionary path.
So, on that note, if our response to violence is violence, and I'm not going to get into war and all of that, but if our response as humans, with our highly developed left hemisphere and prefrontal cortex, is to answer violence with violence, then how are we any different than the chimpanzees that are killing each other in the woods?
I think it goes back to what Cam was saying with the first part of the question, with whether it's, I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, but is it more of just like a social justice kind of aspect to it, or an actual punishment?
And the thing that we have that separates us from the apes is they will kill if they simply feel the need to. We won't. We have stipulations and rules and things in place that you can't kill unless there are very, very specific circumstances met. That's what separates us.
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be bad. Well, I don't want to say bad eggs, but yeah, bad eggs in every population. Humans, animals. There's bad dogs. There's bad cats. There's bad everything.
So let them sit in prison for life, which is actually cheaper.
I actually went back. I was actually going to bring that up. If you're convicted of, some heinous crime, even, especially against like a minor or something like that,
Don't let them out.
I would say do whatever's cheapest for the taxpayer.
Well, guess what? It's cheaper actually to sit on death row, or excuse me, not death row, to sit in prison for life, because the death penalty system is more expensive than life without parole, because they get all of their appeals. They have to be in certain portions of the prison, which costs more. And if you look at California, the death penalty system cost $137 million, whereas lifelong imprisonment for someone is $11.5 million.
137 just to put one person to
Because
death?
they have to go through all the appeals, which the taxpayers must pay for. If it is a death penalty conviction, they get all of their appeals, they get all of their trials, they get the maximum security. All of that is covered by your taxes.
I mean, I don't like that aspect of
Well,
it.
that is what it is.
But at the end of the day, do we have to have I mean, I guess if you're in jail, you're still getting punished for your crime.
And if you believe in due process in our system, then they have to get all of their appeals.
No, I'm okay with that because obviously that's probably saved some people in the past. When it comes down to money,
I don't think it comes down to money because I personally cannot fathom taking someone's life, and I cannot imagine living in a state where we take their life into our hands without their autonomy. And that's an entirely different conversation. But to y'all's money point or whatever it is, it's significantly cheaper.
Money's kind of a secondary opinion, though, on my part. Like, it's really about actions that have consequences kind of a thing. And, I mean, what about the victims, the surviving victims?
yeah, I mean, do they not deserve some sort of justice in some way, shape, or form? Is jail justice? If somebody came and killed our son, is jail justice for that person?
He can stay there forever. I want him to see
that
his
justice?
face every night before he goes to bed. I don't want him going under lethal injection or whatever it is.
No, I want him to see my face before I kill him.
Well, and we're not in law-abiding citizen right now. I'm just like...
Just saying.
Yes, and if you had asked me that numerous years ago, I would say yes. But I feel
think-
this strong conviction that to take someone's life is permanent.
Do you think people can actually change? Like a murderer, a cold-blooded murderer, caught on camera, killed a kid, killed somebody. Do you think that person can genuinely be a better person?
That's entirely dependent on the person, but most of them no.
Yeah.
I'd say it's possible. It's
I mean,
not
it's certainly
probable.
possible. But I mean, and that kind of, a lot of that goes back to upbringing. Most people who commit crimes generally had a poor upbringing. We can go back to our nature versus nurture discussion we had a while back. I don't know.
Speaking of nature versus nurture, why is our nature kill them? Why
Well,
is that our nature?
It's not.
It's
That
under a
is-
very specific set of circumstances.
Yeah, our nature is not kill them. Our nature is generally to try to take care of people. That's just what humans do. But in certain circumstances, you have to do away with things that are bad. You get a bug eating your plants in your garden. You try to get rid of that bug, right? Because it's going to kill your whole crop. How is this any different? Yeah, they're people. I get it. They're people at the end of the day. But if those people are a nuisance to society, and
Then put them away for life. I'm not arguing about that. I'm just saying lethal injection is expensive, electric
don't you-
chairs are expensive, and you have to consider all the people who are involved with putting those drugs in or putting them in the chair and
I
the
don't
doctor
think
that has
that's-
to come in.
I don't think that's where the money's at. I think the money's at the
it's in
litigation.
the legal process.
No, I'm talking about
Yeah.
their psyche of all the people who do that. Because ultimately,
No, that's
it's-
true. Somebody's got to push that button.
Somebody has to push the button. Somebody has to walk them down the hall. Somebody, regardless of whether or not they were a murderer, talk to that person before they push the button or whatever it happens to be. So, I don't know. I think in our humanitas, I have a hard time with our answer to a really heinous thing being to do also taking someone's life.
No, it's kind of like an eye for an eye.
Correct.
I don't know. I rarely fully disagree on this podcast, but I think me and Tiff are pretty far apart on this one. Just because I do see
Circumstances.
the circumstances and the justice in it.
In certain circumstances.
And that's fine. I'm just
Yeah,
I
I
am
mean, we
here
don't have to agree. At the
I'm
end of
here
the
to
day.
offer why I believe so strongly about it.
No, and that's fair. All right, let's talk. Let's kind of switch gears here and talk about the different methods for. Basically, I guess we'll call it execution at this point. And I want to kind of take it back even to like the olden days. What do you think would be? And this is just more of, I guess, I don't know if we'll call it fun, but just offshoot. What do you think would be the worst method to be put to death?
Are we talking about in general or what's available right now?
No, I'm thinking history because I mean, you got to think back in the day. You had guillotines, you had stonings, you had
Guillotine would be
hanging.
nice.
Guillotine would be quick.
Yeah, I think drowning or anything with fire would be terrible.
I would rather drown than burn.
It's like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. But
Yeah, they're both terrible.
probably-
I've heard, you hear the accounts of people who almost drown, and they say it's at a
very
certain
peaceful.
point they reach a peace. Whereas fire, I don't think you're getting a peace.
At least with fire, you pass out before. I don't know.
There's going to be a lot of pain
It's
before
gonna
you
be a
pass
lot of
out.
pain
There's
before-
really no pain with
It's
drowning other than the mental probably anguish that you kind of know you're going through.
I'm sure it's uncomfortable, but it probably is less painful than actually burning
I think
to death.
stoning would be the absolute worst. Because how many times would I have to get hit with a rock before I die?
I think I'd rather get stoned than burned.
I
I don't know. That they both suck.
Yeah, I think if I'm going like the best way to die, guillotine. I want to go out like what was her name?
Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, Marie Antoinette. I want to smile at everybody in front of a crowd as they're cutting my head off.
Hanging would be bad if it didn't work.
Hanging would be terrible. I feel like that could just not end well. Because if
Yeah.
it doesn't snap your neck immediately, you strangle to death.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Let's see. Electrocution. We all watched The Green Mile. That just looks terrible.
Yeah, it hurts pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah. What about Firing Squad? I've always been. I watched an episode of Tales from the Crypt way back in the day, and there was
That
this.
is still legal in 5 states. by
I
the
know
way.
there was this dad. He was obviously this is Tales from the Crypt, so it's fiction. But this dad was high up in the military, and his son was basically a piece of shit son. But he was also in the military, and he committed some sort of basic crime. And in the episode of Tales from the Crypt, he basically. The dad told the sons, like, hey, we're going to take care of you. And he's like, I'm going to put this backpack over the hill, and when they shoot, it's all going to be blanks, and you're going to fall over the hill and then just lay there for a little while. And when it gets dark, you get the backpack and run away, and I've got money in there and everything for you. Basically, he wanted, I think the episode was actually called Yellow, because back in the day, yellow meant a coward. But yeah, they eventually put him in front of the firing squad, and the dad lied to his son, and it was a real bullet, and it actually killed him.
I don't think a firing squad would be the worst way to go.
I don't know. It's not an immediate death. I mean, I guess if it hits you right in the heart or the brain, they're probably trained to shoot for the
I
heart.
mean, yeah. And they got like 5 or 7 people?
I think the way I understand it is you have 5 or 7. One of them has a live and the other rounds are duds, so that way nobody actually knows who did the killing.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought everybody had a live round except one person.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
What's the Google say?
Well, let's find out.
But yeah, that would be terrible. What about some of the countries with the highest? Do you know, Tiff?
Iran, Saudi Arabia, the ones that we equate the most with.
Let's see. I've got some
Egypt?
Amnesty International things here.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell me. It kind of just says in generalities. Just the presence of a blank. I don't know how many live rounds, but
Do we think death penalty does it? Kind of getting back to the root of the question, do we think it deters crime in any way, shape, or form? Just having it as an option?
I don't think it deters that kind of crime.
I don't
Nope.
either.
And according to most of the research, the states that have it have higher or equal crime rates than states that do not have the death penalty. Additionally, and I know this is an offshoot, but I feel like the death penalty as an option, and I know that we live in the United States of America, but hear me out, is a slippery slope. And I say that because as our law is written now, you have to do something heinous. But as history would tell us, sometimes you didn't do things that were heinous and the government decided to kill you anyway.
No, you're right.
Because they didn't burn witches, they burned women. And I understand that it is written the way that it is now, but there are people in this country right now trying to legislate other things for the death penalty, including abortion.
Yeah.
So it's a slippery slope to me when you say crime, take a life. Yes, right now it's treason, genocide, murder. But who's to say in 20 years from now that is not the case?
But I mean, that's the slippery slope of all laws, though.
It is. So, I mean, what if
That
we
goes
were...
into government overreach and all that crap.
And I think Tyler and I are both on the same page here, is that we don't agree in the death penalty unless there is 100% definitive evidence. And I think of murder, or I would say child molestation, are kind of the two crimes that I would say are worthy of potentially considering. Mm-hmm. And again, definitive evidence, I've got you on camera, you've done the act.
DNA, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards.
Then later, y'all need to do a whole episode on how flawed our prison system
Oh,
is.
man, we don't have that many episodes. We could do a whole podcast on that.
But you can't. We're humans. There is going to be a margin of error on everything, and I'm not saying that the prison system is perfect because it's definitely not.
It's definitely not,
The whole
no.
for-profit system is fucked up. But I don't know. I think we're getting away from the actual point, and maybe it's just a point that me and Tiff are so far apart on that we can't come to mutual ground on it. But for me, it's an action has consequences, and if you commit that heinous of an act, that kind of shows me that you are not a value to society at that point.
That's fair. No, like I said, we don't have to agree. That's
Yeah,
not
I'm not here to make you agree with me. I'm just letting you know why I feel so strongly about it and all of the reasons why I feel strongly about it. It's so sour.
Damn, I got the end of it. It's super sour.
No good. You got all the bitter. You got all the wild caught in the net berries.
That is not what that means.
That's exactly how I think of. They're running it through a field catching wild things. All right, so I pulled up kind of the earliest known set of laws related to things that were punishable by death is the Code of Hammurabi, and there were 25 crimes that were punishable by death at that point in time. So let's run through them.
All right.
False accusation leading to a wrongful death, stealing from a temple or palace, kidnapping, helping a slave escape, receiving stolen goods, adultery, that would kill half of our population these days, incest, murder, of course, highway robbery, negligence causing a structure to collapse and kill someone, stealing crops from a field. You can get killed for stealing crops from a field. I need a piece of corn. Nope, you're dead. Attempting to rob during a fire, very specific. Illegal trade involving contraband, fraudulent contracting, or shady business dealings. What the hell does that even mean?
Corruption, I think.
Yeah, basically. Physicians who perform fatal malpractice in the Code of Hammurabi. That was fucking everybody. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. Builders whose negligence causes death. Soldiers deserting the army or failing in duty. Sedation or rebellion against the king. Sacrilege or defiling sacred property, perjury, falsifying records, counterfeiting currency, intentionally causing harm to others leading to death. So yeah, that's
I'd argue that civilization has made quite a bit of
since
progress
the Code of
since that.
Hammurabi, I would think so. Violating the sanctity of marriage contracts. Again, that would. What do we have, like a 50% divorce rate in our country? That would mean that 50% of people would be death. Thanos would be happy.
We would have to define what that even... Well, I know what it meant then, but like
that's what it meant
these
then.
days, I think that's such a bullshit phrase
I know. That's
anyway.
what's funny, though, is it's just kind of... it's evolved over time. And like I said, obviously, I am 100% against death penalty for anything outside of, I think, again, murder, in which you have definitive evidence and or I think so, anything with a child molestation, things like that, they deserve.
So I just looked up what penalties are. Is this the United States? Yes. Crimes in the United States that are punishable by death. Murder, treason, espionage, kidnapping. That's an interesting one. Terrorism, war crimes, and murder of a public official.
That's very specific. For
Well, the
protecting
kidnapping goes along with that. So technically,
trafficking?
No, the kidnapping is the kidnapping and murder of a state like representative, like a senator or a president or something like that.
yourself. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You can't be killing, or I mean,
Well, you can't be killing in general. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
then should there be punishment for killing?
yes, you should go to prison and not get out.
I mean, that's fair. I don't disagree that is definitely the minimum that should happen.
And I would argue that their experience in that prison is not going to be as pleasant as maybe going to sleep and not waking up.
I think it depends.
Yeah,
I think if you're anything with a child, you're kind of screwed. But I mean, if you're talking about, like
There's so many murderers in prison.
espionage, like includes trafficking of drugs in large quantities. Like if you put frickin'
Fidel Castro.
Yeah,
or
or no,
not
who's-
Castro,
Pablo Escobar.
Escobar,
Yeah.
you put Escobar in prison,
Man's running
he's gonna
that place.
run that shit.
Yeah.
What do you think deserves to die for dealing drugs?
No.
I
We haven't said death penalty for drugs. Neither one of us are in
Well,
agreement.
that's what he
with
was talking about, though.
I'm just saying that is a
Trafficking.
punishable.
It is.
punishable offense.
Yeah.
the
No, which
United
I
States
think, which
currently.
I do think is utter bullshit. You should not be put to death for drugs.
I mean, we're not talking about drugs. We're talking about
I don't care how many drugs you're selling. Well, I don't know. I mean, what if the drugs
You're ta-
cause death?
these. Dude, people buy nuclear submarines and have trafficked drugs across the ocean. Like,
So do you think Pablo Escobar should have died for trafficking so many drugs?
I think it's very easy to connect hundreds of thousands of deaths to his exact
But that does
actions.
not go back to your initial definition that you did not have.
I did not include drug dealers.
And you did not officially see him or have definitive
Didn't see
evidence.
him. Didn't see him.
Now, I think drugs, it gets slippery, too
it's a little
slippery with drugs.
It's a little slippery there.
Like I said, my hard line is I have you on video murdering somebody and or you on video doing something heinous to a kid.
To be fair, trafficking that amount of drugs inherently comes with other
it's going
crimes
to.
as well.
There is no doubt that Pablo Escobar is responsible for probably tens of thousands of deaths.
Right.
Not just drug related, but literal. His
Right.
people killed people.
Right.
But we didn't see him do it.
I don't think you have to see him do it. I think you
6
have
degrees of separation. I mean,
Well, that's what you all said.
No.
You all had
That's
to be
what I-
definitive.
no,
That's what Cam said.
That's what I
I
said.
said a definitive amount of proof that ties you to that.
that's fair. So you'd kill Pablo? What did Pablo die? What is? I don't know.
I don't know if Pablo Escobar. I don't think.
He's got to be dead, didn't
Is
he?
Pablo Escobar alive?
How did he die?
His son's alive. Oh shit. He died December 2nd, 1993.
All right, so just completely offshoot here. How did he die?
Damn it.
No, I'm curious.
did
So I pulled up so there's apparently a website called the Death Penalty Information Center. And I was kind of curious, like what we have on the docket. There are no more executions for 2024. For 2025, there are a total of 10. Guess what state you think is committing the most executions?
Probably Texas
You-
or
you-
Alabama.
I mean, that's fair. Tiff, what do you think?
California.
No, it's goddamn Ohio.
Really?
I swear.
Apparently they don't fuck around.
They've got 6 scheduled for next year, and then in 2026, the entire list, it's only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them are all Ohio. So apparently Ohio is really killing people. Just out of curiosity, I'm just going to pick a random guy off the list, and let's pull up what he did, and let's debate whether or not he...
That's the thing.
It's all
too.
males, by the way.
People, we aren't executing people through the judicial system in thousands.
No, it's less than...
it's an incredibly
generally
small
less than a dozen a year.
It's an incredibly small subset of the overall population.
All right, so let's see what this guy did. This guy's name is Percy Hutton. He was scheduled for execution on, June 18th of next year. Percy, what did you do?
Pablo Escobar got shot in the head, by the way.
Oh, fair. Pablo. In prison?
Damn it. I don't know.
I
You keep asking
No.
fucking questions.
Or was he out?
I'm sure it wasn't in prison. Where did Pablo?
I want to know now.
As a
my
result,
God. Weren't they chasing him?
cartel crumbled, and in 1993, Escobar was killed in his hometown by Colombian National Police a day after
Yep.
his 44th birthday.
All right, so Percy killed a woman named Betty Mitchell in 2016.
Okay, hold on. Subset.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just curious. This is random.
to. So, how do you feel? So you're not okay with putting people to death, but you're okay with killing somebody in defense of yourself.
Yes, because that's defending yourself. That's different.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's
Defending
completely
yourself
different.
is different than defending society.
Yeah,
Because
because
that person is no longer a harm to society if they're behind bars.
behind bars, they're no longer a harm to society. If someone's in my house, they are a harm to society, and I'm going to do what I need
Yeah,
to do.
no, I
I-
think those are two different things.
I agree that it's two different things, but I also think that if you're behind bars, it doesn't mean you're not a harm to society anymore. Just
How?
because, I mean, if you're talking about people who are on death row, or even in the Escobar example, like if you put powerful people behind bars, they can still call shots. It's not like just
yes,
because
but
they're in a
these
physical
people are
location.
not Pablo Escobar. They're some random dude who murdered a woman. They do not have any power once they're behind bars. They might in prison, but that's none of my business what's happening in prison.
Maybe it should be.
I don't know.
Well, what do they have on this Percy that
Not much.
Exactly.
I'm not finding much. It's just finding that I've got the case brief pulled up here. Takes me back to college.
what evidence do they have on Percy?
What's his name?
Percy Hutton, Ohio. He murdered, let's see, in 1986, they found that Hutton murdered Derek Ricky Mitchell and attempted to kill Samuel Simmons. In 1985, he was convicted of aggravated murder with 2 death specifications. 2 men he believed had stolen from him outside his house. He confronted him over stealing a sewing machine. So it's all over a sewing machine. Can you imagine killing somebody over a sewing machine?
But that's not what he's on death row for.
He's on death row for killing somebody.
Killing
No,
someone.
for what do they have on him and the woman? That's why he's on death
No,
row.
there's a lot here. I can't say I didn't sift through it
In
enough.
1985, Percy allegedly lured 2 friends into his car and shot each of them, killing one on his suspicion that they had stolen from him. Convicted him on aggravated murder, attempted murder, and kidnapping. The jury found that Hutton engaged in conduct that met statutory requirements for aggravated circumstances, the presence of which, under Ohio law, required a sentence of death, life imprisonment without parole, or life imprisonment with parole eligibility after at least 20 years.
So then he got out.
No. All right, so this
He
is
was
all
put to
about that.
death.
No, he wasn't. In 2016, the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals overturned his death sentence, citing issues during the death penalty phase. In 2017, the Supreme Court reversed it, reinstating the death penalty. Originally scheduled for execution in June of 2022, his execution was postponed in February of 2022. Ohio's governor issued a reprieve for several executions, including Hutton's, rescheduling it for June 18th of this year. Currently, still remains on death row.
Just because you overturn the case isn't an indication of innocence, though.
Well, no, I don't disagree.
It's
but
it's a procedural
going
error.
back to my
Which-
definition of what should be punishable by death. I don't know that we have definitive evidence.
I mean, unless you read the case, we wouldn't.
Yeah, no, it's all over a stolen sewing machine. There's, like I said, and that's kind of my hard line is if it cannot physically be seen on video, then I mean, there's too much to.
You seem like you want video evidence over DNA evidence.
DNA can be messed up.
So can video.
Well, no, that's fair.
I mean, I think it goes back to it's not a perfect system. Nothing's a perfect system.
No.
But that's why the litigation process is so expensive and takes so long, is because we don't just put people on death row and 2 months later they're dead.
No. I mean, this guy's been on it
It's-
since 1986.
they go-
longer than I've been alive.
It's due process.
Okay, question then. If the people of whomever was murdered, whoever it is, say they do not want that person put to death, do you honor their wishes?
That's a good question.
I don't think it's up to them. I think
Earlier
it's-
you said it's about justice to the people. That's what you said. And their justice, that's not justice to them if they're taking another life and they don't believe in it.
I don't think. I think it could have justice to the victims, and the victim's testimony is, I think, taken into a degree of consideration when, issuing the punishment. But at the end of the day, I don't think that a judge or jury should be looking at the surviving victims and saying, oh, just because they want somebody to be put to death or not put to death, we're going to do it or not do it. You have to follow the letter of the law, which is pretty clear.
Yeah, but the letter of law is written by flawed men.
Sure.
And you asked me what I believe justice was earlier, and then you said, well, if my relative wanted, I would say no. I would hate that person for the rest of my life, and I would hope that they actually suffered immensely while they were in prison, but I would not ask for them to be put to death, period. And if we're talking about justice to victims and their victims' families, then we also need to consider what the victims' families believe.
And I think we do.
But if you're going to overturn it and say, no, let's put them to death, then you don't.
You said take into consideration. It's not.
That's not a he said, she said kind of situation.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't get to make, they're not the law, so they don't get to make the law. I mean, there are laws for reasons. But again, the laws are written by flawed men. Great movie, 12 Angry Men. Watch it. It's like a 1950s movie, black and white, but good movie. Kind of talking. It goes through this whole process. There's literally 12 Angry Men sit in a room for the entire movie. And it's actually, I think it's listed as like top 4 or 5 IMDb movies of all time. But yeah, they basically kind of go back and forth, and there's this one guy that abstains. They're all the other 11 are for the murder. This kid saying he murdered, but eventually this one guy is like, nope, I just don't have enough evidence. And that's the thing with anything like that is we're at the end of the day we're leaving a lot of it up to
a jury of our
people.
peers.
Yeah, flawed people. That's why my hard line is.
So what do you want to do? Frickin' make AI make all the decisions?
No, my hard line is we have to have definitive evidence.
Right, and I'm totally in agreement with you.
Yeah, definitive evidence of murder and or child molestation, something along those lines.
And
I think those
it has to be much more definitive than 12 people sitting in a room and be like, well,
agreed, not
he
debating.
had a good argument, and this person over here said this, and they don't have any DNA, they don't have this, they don't have that.
No, I agree.
Because if you look at stuff like...
Then it just becomes he said, she said.
Well, and if you look at the people who have, in my opinion, gotten away with stuff, it's because of a jury of their peers. Casey Anthony being one of them. So I think we have a lot of structural things we need to repair and fix before our decision is to, take someone's life for whatever they did. I'm going to be against it regardless, but if we're going along y'all's lines, then it needs to be better, period.
So how do you make it better?
Well, you're going to have to restructure your whole prison system, and that's a different topic for a
We
different
don't have enough
day.
time for that one. Yeah, that obviously, we have to restructure a lot of what we consider to be crimes. We have so many petty drug crimes, so many people sitting in jails these days for petty drug things that are ridiculous.
And I think you need to significantly restructure the way that you consider a jury of one's peers, because, y'all, the literacy rate in the U.S. is a third grade reading level. So you have 12 people who can read at a third grade reading level making a decision about someone's...
What if those are representative of their peers?
That's the problem.
What if you're in the mountains of Appalachia and that's what you're working with?
Fuck off.
That's the problem, though.
You brought the example up. I'm just
I
playing devil's
said
advocate.
United States, by the way, and there are plenty of smart and intelligent people from Appalachia.
Of course there are, but that's not the example you provided.
I'm just saying that we cannot continue this. He said, she said, 12 people deciding. I think
so
it's flawed.
A jury or your peers are only highly intelligent people with high IQs and PhDs?
No, but you need to do a better job of vetting, and it's not going to be somebody who just gets their jollies because they get to sit on a jury and vote to take someone's life.
I've never met somebody who got jollies by sitting on a jury, ever.
No, there's probably some, but no. All right, so I just wanted to kind of switch gears here and talk about other countries and how they potentially rehab people. Norway is considered... Norway's just good at most things, apparently.
Obviously.
But they're considered one of the gold standards for rehab. They basically, instead of... they kind of try to, again, because a lot of times crimes link back to psychological issues with the people, often from their upbringing, poor upbringing in many cases. So Norway's kind of goal is to basically try to give them psychological care while still detaining them and keeping them in from outside environments.
It's like prisons in Europe are like fucking 3-star hotels.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's nicer than some of the hotels we have around here. So, maybe we need to consider going down that route more. We don't. Why? Because our justice system is for profit. The prison system is for profit. That should not be a thing, but it is. Again, that's a whole debate for another day.
And along to that debate, and I know you're going to do it later, but if you take a person and you put them in prison for something that's not violent, they have to be violent to survive there. So then you're just perpetuating violence. You're making them worse than when they came in.
No, I agree with that for sure. You're not going to go into prison and just
come out better.
And
You
ride it
can't.
out.
Yeah.
No, you got to.
Obviously they have levels of prison, maximum security, low.
Either way, if you were in prison, you're going through some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you do if you were in prison?
I would make prison wine and be the prison wine kingpin.
Or the prison wine bitch. Where's my wine, Tyler? I don't know. I think I always like to hear those stories of those guys who went back and got their law degree or something like that. So maybe I'd try to do something like that if I were in prison.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely try to fill my time with learning.
Something. You're just there all day.
Yeah.
Obviously working out. You can only do that so much.
Yeah, you're going to get jacked and I'm going to read a lot.
Jacked.
Are you?
What else is there?
What else am I going to do?
You can't watch Iron Man.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a pause. We're going to refill our beers, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about our death row meals. All right, guys, welcome back. We have poured up another Urban Artifact beer. Tyler, tell us what we're drinking, and we'll get into our, I guess, fun topic.
Yeah, I think it's along the same lines as the Triceratops we were drinking, but it's called Pachycephalosaurus. Same brewery, 7.7% ABV.
Oh, that one's delicious.
3 IBU, 4.3 on Untapped, which is a gnarly score. And this one's actually a wild fermented sour, which is interesting because instead of adding a specific bacteria or yeast under controlled environments, they kind of just brew up the wort and let whatever kind of natural bacteria or yeast in the environment fall into that and ferment it kind of wild and spontaneously. So you can get a lot of weird off flavors and everything like that. I haven't tried it yet, but it smells just like a wine.
That's
It's
delicious. And this one is 68 of 500, so again, an limited release. And this one was brewed in November of 2018. So we're looking at 6-year-olds.
We aged it.
Wow. That's
Fun-
incredible.
That is really good.
Fun fact, you are more bacterial cells than you are human cells.
Just
Yay,
a-
bacteria.
You know,
in
it is
your
No
gut.
Science Saturday.
No, it's not.
Just in your gut. You have literally, it's like
Trillions.
trillions of gut bacteria.
That doesn't include the ones that live on your skin.
All right.
Cool.
Nerd. All right. So our fun, delicious beer. Check out Urban
That thing's
Artifact.
fucking
That is
amazing.
really good. It's Marionberry, which I don't know what the hell that is, but it's delicious. I know that.
This has to be the highest ranked beer we've had on Lagers and Loudmouths.
I think so. If they call it a sour, it's not overly sour.
I don't get a ton of tartness.
No,
Urban Artifact is hands down one of my favorite sour beer makers.
Oh, they do
for
great.
sure.
Yeah, they do good stuff.
The thing about wild fermentation, too, is it's kind of hard to replicate.
Yeah. No, you can't.
You're never
So-
getting that flavor again.
No, this is number 68 of 500. We'll never taste it again.
You could try to harvest it, but it'll still probably have
Could
characteristics.
Could
that
we
are different.
harvest from inside the bottle or the yeast?
Oh, yeah,
probably
100%. I've done that before.
Let's do it.
We can do that.
All right, let's try it. All right, so our fun topic today, sticking along the same lines.
Fun, but okay.
Fun. We're
Jesus.
killing people. Our fun topic is death row meals. If you are on death row and you got to choose your last meal, what would you choose? And we're gonna start off with I'm gonna give you the run of the gamut, do whatever the hell you want, and then I'm gonna put some stipulations on it.
Okay. I'm going to go unconventional, I think,
right.
right off the bat. You know, I think the obvious answer is like steak and lobster and all that, fancy shit.
Yep.
Going Waffle House All-Star Special.
God, that's delicious.
Good comfort breakfast,
I
you know?
also picked breakfast.
Okay. I do love breakfast, and I do love Waffle House. But no, that's not going to be my choice. Waffle House. So how are you getting your eggs? Give us the rundown.
Oh, yeah. You want the All-Star Special, eggs over medium, hash brown smothered, covered and chunked, bacon, and biscuit and gravy.
What you
With
drinking?
a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee, black coffee, little milk.
Yeah. Black coffee, splash of cream.
All right, Tiff, what do you got?
I am going biscuits and gravy like
Yeah.
my meemaw made with a piece of fried chicken breast on the side.
Ooh.
And because I can't normally have it because it makes me sick, a glass of Woodford Reserve bourbon.
Yeah, I guess if you're dying in 2
Yeah.
days, you don't care about your stomach being upset.
And I think I would also have a delicious cappuccino coffee mix. I would mix them together, I think.
That's not a bad option. I like that.
No, that's solid. So I'm just picking all my favorite things, to be honest with you.
Yep.
If it's because again, there are no stipulations on this particular meal. So I want my mom's fried chicken. She makes great fried chicken, so I'm going with that. I love some pork fried rice, so I'm gonna have a side of pork fried rice. I'd love a ribeye with some horseradish sauce, so I'm gonna throw some of that in there too. Chicken wings, probably too much because I got the fried chicken. I'm going to be eating for a day. They're not going to be able to kill me because I'm going to be so bloated that I might explode.
You might have a heart attack just on your
That's
last
fine.
meal.
That's the goal. Let's go give myself a heart attack before I die. In terms of drink, I'm going to go with again, no stipulations here. I'm going to go with probably just a good beer and a side shot of bourbon. I wouldn't mind a nice coffee on the side either for dessert. So for dessert, I'm going a brownie, classic, good, nice.
Put an ice cream on top?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just straight up good vanilla ice cream,
Yep.
brownie, and then maybe that's where I have my coffee with my dessert.
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm going to pick a dessert, I'm going tiramisu.
Tiramisu, whether you're getting coffee and dessert all in one.
Who cares?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's great.
I think I'd go cheesecake on dessert.
Cheesecake, just plain straight up New York.
Yeah,
style?
I like the just plain New York style.
Yeah.
I mean, the flavors are good, but
No, I love it good.
Keep it simple,
Yeah. All right. All right. So those are our extravagant ones. Let's talk about
Waffle House is extravagant.
You picked it.
I know.
You picked it. I gave you free reign.
I still stand by it.
But the state of Tennessee, who does have the death penalty, has restrictions on what you can
Of course they
order
do.
for your meal.
Okay.
It is limited to a grand total of $20.
Well,
I'm good.
Tyler's good.
I could get 2 of them.
You could get 1.5. You got to tip the lady.
Yeah, I'm good with mine.
You're not changing? Obviously, mine's going to exceed $20.
Yeah, yours is. It falls in within my price range. I think the only other option I'd like, I really love sushi.
Sushi would be good.
I hope I get put to death on a Sunday so we can get Emma's Asian one half price sushi.
Half price sushi. It doesn't matter. Well, there you go. You can get like 3 rolls for $20.
Yeah, so that'd be okay too.
All right. Tiff, you changing?
I feel like mine is going to be less than
Yours
$20.
probably would be. It probably would. Mine definitely wouldn't be.
I mean, how much does it take to make a biscuit and some gravy and a little piece of fried chicken on the side?
You're probably
yeah,
you're probably
less than
under.
$10, to be honest with you.
yeah.
And you buy me one shot that's like, I don't know, $5.
It depends on where you're buying it from. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, a bottle of Woodford is $40, so a shot would be $2, $3.
Yeah, something like that.
I guess I'd have to forego dessert and just do the coffee then.
Just coffee.
Yeah.
What was your dessert again?
Tiramisu. But
Yeah,
I can't add
that's-
that all in there.
It's a little expensive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're doing it by serving size.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
don't
if they're making
know.
you a whole pan of tiramisu. All right, let's. I wanted to. So yeah, mine. If I'm restricted to $20, you know, this. I mean, I don't really love it, but let me just order off Taco Bell's menu.
Yeah.
I'm
So disgusting.
just gonna order probably like $20 worth of Taco Bell.
That's a big meal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
Ooh.
well, these days it's not. Back in 1990, you could get like 30 tacos for $20.
Of all the places, you are picking Taco Bell.
No, I'm okay with
I
that.
want to shit on everybody when I die.
You do anyway.
I like that one.
Yeah,
I could see myself doing
Just
that.
get
too.
as many tacos as I can. I just like good sauce.
What's your Taco Bell order?
I generally do the boxes that they
Yeah.
have these days because I like to get a little bit of everything. But if I'm going rogue, I just like straight up like a 6-pack of the soft shell.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're exclusively doing fast food, I'm getting a Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Popeyes
that
is
is a
good.
good chicken sandwich.
Pal's Burger wouldn't be bad
Pals
either.
wouldn't be bad. All right, so fast food. All right, I'm going Taco Bell. You're going Popeyes.
Popeyes.
You're going Pals. Or are you sticking something else?
No, I'll go Pal's.
All right, what if you could go like a fancy restaurant? What's your fancy restaurant meal?
I'm getting the chicken dish from Keffy in Knoxville.
See, I don't go to a lot of fancy places, so
Well, whatever fancy means for you.
if I'm going fancy, I want a big ribeye steak,
Yeah.
baked potato,
Like a Peter Luger's. You heard of Peter
Yeah.
Luger's in New York?
Yeah.
They're like one of the best steakouts. That'd be a good choice.
or maybe Ramsey's beef Wellington.
Ooh, that'd be nice
Yeah.
too. I think I'd still go over the ribeye over the Wellington.
Probably.
Wellington's too fancy for me.
Yeah, I think the ribeye's going to have more flavor anyway.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice. I'd probably be right there with you. Go to something like Peter Luger's Steakhouse in New York
I
or
think
something.
that Burns in Tampa is way better than the one we had in New York.
We went to Wolfgang's in
We
New
went to
York.
Wolfgang's, and I stand by my choice that Burns is better.
Yeah, no, I Burns was good. Burns was good, and they're rated as the top 3 to 5 steakhouse every year. So it's hard to argue with everybody else, the mass. Let's look at some bizarre death row meals. So Victor Fugger, his last meal was a single olive with the pit still inside.
It's a gangster move.
Because he said that he hoped it would grow into an olive tree as a symbol of peace.
I mean, honestly, I'm not mad about that.
No, because you want to be buried as a tree.
I want to be composted so that I can grow things from me. Yes.
What are you looking at me for?
I don't know. How do you feel about Victor's meal?
I mean, it's insane, but I respect it.
All right, if you could choose one single item, what's it going to be? That's it. You only get one item.
I don't know. If I would have one item, I want a true pour of like a phenomenal bourbon.
I see. I was going down the same
Pappy
road.
Van Winkle.
I was going the same road. If I'm
That's
only
what I was
getting
gonna
one
pick.
item, I'm just going to go drink. I'm just
Yeah.
going to give me
Yeah.
just a good bourbon, something like that, and I'll be happy.
Bourbon or cigar would be nice. I don't know if you can count that as a... That's two items.
Sorry. What about just cigar? Nah, bourbon's better with cigar.
Do I have
Or
to
cigar's
eat the
better
cigar?
with. Well, I mean, not generally. It's not
No,
how
but
it
it's a last
usually works.
meal, so...
Oh my god.
No. All right. So Lawrence Brewer ordered a massive feast that included 2 chicken fried steaks, pound of barbecue, triple meat bacon cheeseburger, pizza, pint of ice cream, peanut butter fudge with crushed peanuts. But when it arrived, he refused to eat it, which led Texas to end the practice of special meals. God damn it, Lawrence, you ruined it for everybody.
That's a gangster move, too.
As an aside, I hate chicken fried steak. Like, either give me fried chicken or give me a
I don't
well-cooked
hate
steak.
it.
I don't like it.
I like it on occasion.
I don't hate it. I mean, it's a way to use a good or a mediocre piece of steak and maybe try to elevate it a bit. I get why it's become a thing, but yeah, obviously I want a steak or I want a fried chicken.
Yeah, same. I want it to be one or the other.
But I mean, I'd eat it.
I'd eat it, too. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, shout out to Lawrence for ruining it for
in
everybody else
Texas.
in Texas.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
James Edward Smith. He requested a lump of dirt for his final meal, allegedly for a ritual. It was denied, and he was given yogurt instead.
Aw.
I'm curious what his ritual was. What was he going to do with his
I wonder how
dirt?
they got to yogurt.
Yeah, that is a.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, bacteria is in both, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
That's asinine.
All right, Philip Workman. I saw this one earlier. He declined a meal for himself, but he asked for a vegetarian pizza be donated to a homeless person. The prison actually refused to do this.
That's terrible.
So public got wind of it, and I think like the next day or something like that, there were like over 200 pizzas sent to this homeless shelter in the area that he
Good.
had requested.
Nah, I'm kind of on the prison side on this one.
Why?
Because it's not a...
If your last act in this world is to give somebody
it's
else
not
something,
a last... No, it's not a last act. It's a last meal. And
nonetheless, his last
Nah.
meal was
To feed somebody
pizza.
else.
no, that's not the point.
Why not?
Because that's not...
What if he is trying to make himself right with the universe and you're going to rob him of his ability
Well,
to do
technically,
that?
he made himself better with the universe because the universe saw and the universe donated to
I don't know.
him.
To
I
make
just-
himself better in the last 12 hours of his life, get fucked.
You don't believe that people can?
I mean, I don't know that you're not going to get better, but I mean, I'm okay with making amends with
Make amends.
Yeah, with your
Like,
with yourself.
Don't get in the way of people making amends if they're trying to do something nice.
No,
That
I
gets on
agree.
my nerves.
I agree. All right, last one here. Thomas Grasso. So Grasso ordered a large meal that included a dozen steamed mussels, delicious, a dozen steamed clams, also delicious, a double cheeseburger, half a dozen barbecue ribs, 2 strawberry milkshakes, and a pumpkin pie. He also requested SpaghettiOs, but complained that he got canned spaghetti instead. Those motherfuckers. He just wanted SpaghettiOs, and they gave him canned spaghetti. His famous last words were, "I did not get my SpaghettiOs. I got spaghetti. I want the press to know this.
That's balling.
I wanted SpaghettiOs."
That's probably nostalgic. Like somewhere in his lizard brain, he
Oh,
had
for
SpaghettiOs
sure.
as a kid, and that's what he wanted.
What would be your nostalgic last meal? Like something that just brings back a
hands
memory.
down, a Hungry Man. Remember those Hungry Man
Oh, yeah.
TV dinners? It would be a Hungry Man TV dinner with the little chicken strips and the cheese sauce. I used to eat those all the time when I was a kid. And the little steak fries came in it.
Yeah,
And those were a treat because the Hungry Men's were
they
expensive.
were.
Yeah.
Do you have a nostalgia meal?
Pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls? Okay.
Yeah.
Pizza rolls. That's good.
They're great.
For me, I think it's still going to be chicken wings. I eat them a lot now as an adult just because I can afford them. But as a kid, we only got them on very special occasions because it was expensive to make chicken wings or buy chicken wings. So, yeah, I think that would be the choice.
Actually, my nostalgic meal would be a liver sausage sandwich with potato chips on
That
top.
sounds awful.
What is that?
Have
Oh,
you
it's
ever
so
actually
good.
eaten that?
Oh God, yeah.
Did your mom make that?
Oh yeah.
I want to try it.
It's
liver,
good.
Liver sausage.
Yeah, it's like it's a liverwurst spread. Put it on white bread, and then just get regular
Raw.
late potato chips.
Oh, I was thinking onions. Okay, I was
No,
thinking
no.
liver and onions. Gotcha.
No. Lay's potato chips, and put it on the bread and crush it down.
All right,
It's
Mary
tasty.
Lou, we're having lunch
What
soon.
is? Oh,
Yeah, you would hate that. I think it could be good.
No, it's really good.
I don't like organ meats. Like I've eaten hearts, which
Have
are
you
good.
eaten a hot dog before?
Yes, but liver has a very prominent taste
It does.
because
It's
of all
very
of the
irony.
things that are in your liver
This
that
is
do things.
this is a fairly mild flavor.
Well, if it's made into a sausage, pate type
yeah,
of
it's
thing.
a pate kind of a thing.
All right, fair enough. All right. Any last thoughts on death row meals? Is there anything you wouldn't want? Like if they said, "Hey,
Dairy. Well, I'm eating a bunch of gravy. I lied. Any seafood.
I wouldn't want spaghetti.
No seafood.
oh, I love spaghetti."
I don't-
That's another possible nostalgia one for me. I love good spaghetti.
I'm not a huge pasta person.
No. I'm trying to think if there's anything I wouldn't want. I mean,
I do not want mussels. I don't want clams. I don't want the texture so
I'm
gross.
I'm a pretty. I'll eat pretty much anything for the most part.
I don't think I'd want fruitcake.
Shout out to our
Shut
last
up.
episode. So fall back to our last episode. I told Tyler I'd make him a fruitcake for Christmas Eve. I did. It was fine. I don't know why people like fruitcake. It's not that good. And my recipe turned out good. I mean, it tasted.
The cake I made was fucking delicious.
It was. We're not talking about you right now.
Yeah,
This
we're
is
talking
our
about the
podcast. So yeah, I made a fruitcake, and yeah, I don't get the appeal of them at all.
It had a good flavor.
It
would have
was
been.
fine.
I didn't like the candied fruit. I
It
think
was dense.
it was super dense.
It was. I mean,
It had a good flavor. Like I can see why people like it, but for me, I'm like,
It's just weird.
It's just not my thing.
I
Yeah.
think it's a nostalgia thing. I don't think people actually genuinely like fruitcake. I think they grew up eating fruitcake around the holidays, and now they want to eat it around the holidays.
maybe. I mean, that's a lot of things in human nature. So
Oh, for
that's
sure.
Fair. All right. So we are going to end this episode a little bit different. Normally we have our hot takes. Perhaps somebody has a hot take. I don't know. So what we're going to do today is, as this is the first episode of 2025, welcome to a new year, everybody. We are going to recap just quickly our goals from last year, Tyler and I, and see, I guess, assess ourselves on how well we did or did not do. And then we'll kind of shoot out a couple of goals for the upcoming year.
Do I still get to hit the button?
Yes.
Yeah, you get to hit the button right now.
Hot takes.
That's so hot.
Hot Takes 2025 edition. And apparently we need to revamp our hot takes because Leslie's talking shit about how we do hot takes.
Oh yeah. Shout out to our giveaway.
We're not doing I guess current enough events.
Oh, I have a hot take.
All right, you want to send it?
No, you go ahead.
All right, Tyler.
I don't think we were doing hot takes. I thought
We're
we were
not.
doing.
We're not. We're recapping. So my main goal for 2024 was, if you guys recall, think back to episode. I don't know what it was. I'm going to say like 8 or 10. Was to do less.
Yep. How'd that go?
Failed miserably.
Yep.
And I have a reasoning why, and I will talk about that when I get to my goals for 2025. But yeah, so my goal coming into last year was just to do less because I always felt like we were on the go, doing something, going somewhere, doing this, doing that, and I wanted to try to do a little less this year. Failed absolutely miserably. I think I can legit count on two hands. Well, I don't even know if I need two hands. I think I can count on one hand the number of weekends where I had nothing.
Correct.
Probably legit less than 5 weekends I think I had where I just could sit at home and just like be a person at home. So yeah, failed miserably.
Yep.
Which is okay. I hit a lot of my other goals, financially, all that other stuff, which is great. But yeah, that was the one goal that I failed very terribly at.
Yeah, I didn't do too hot on my goals either.
Remind us what
I
were
think
yours?
mine was to be healthier, which didn't really work out that well, and read more.
All right, did
Also-
you read more?
No, not really.
You started out good.
Yeah, I started out good, but
You brought me, because I remember you brought me a book you were excited about at the very beginning of the year.
yeah, but you read it already, so you
I did. Great book, though.
Yeah. So also was I think it kind of at least the reading part kind of feeds into yours. It's like I just didn't have a lot of free time to pick up a book.
Yeah, I got ways we're going to fix that in just a second. Tiff, did you have any goals coming in? I know obviously you weren't on the episode, but
That
coming
is-
into the year.
That is why I kind of have a hot take about this.
All right.
Because I think it is fine to have goals. I think that the word resolution and New Year's resolutions, that's stupid. And I also think that it is okay to have goals that relate to you being healthier or, choosing more healthy foods or whatever. But I have a really hard time with people incentivizing those things, like making food a reward or a punishment, or making exercise a reward or a punishment. Like, do those things, incorporate them into your life, make goals about those things. But I don't like when it becomes this New Year's resolution and, I didn't do it and I'm a failure. And as someone who had disordered eating, I also have a huge issue with anything that centers around dietary restrictions and that type of thing.
Yeah, no, I would agree 100%. I teach this stuff in my normal day job when I'm not making money from podcasting. Yeah, so
You make money?
no, I've lost money.
He gets paid.
But yes, so I would agree 100% that goals should not go. I 100%. I'm a very, very firm believer in goals. But the problem with goals is people shoot for the stars, and there's nothing wrong with having big goals, but you got to start with small goals. And I think that is why I failed last year. I simply made the blanket statement of I want to do less.
It's got to be a measurable activity.
Correct. And I teach this, so I should have known that when I made that goal last year. It's got to be something that's measurable, quantifiable. So with that being said, one of my goals for 2025 is to have at least one weekend a month with no plans. That's measurable. That's attainable. That's something I can keep track of.
It's a little ambitious, I think.
One weekend a month, you think? 12 total out of the year?
Granted, you're given your track record, I think it's ambitious.
I know.
But you can make changes, and definitely, if you prioritize that, it's definitely achievable.
Yeah, I think so. One weekend a month. Not to where I maybe not go to the bar and have a drink, but not like have something super kind of, because it's just like we always had something. We'll go to Knoxville, go to Asheville, go to do something.
I mean, we spent 12 days traveling in the summer, too. I mean, we were gone for a long time.
Yeah. No, and I'm not going to count that. Like if we go on a trip for a vacation, although I guess I do have to count that. So yeah, at the end of the day, that's one of my goals is 1 weekend a month of just chilling at home, doing something, just being at home.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal. I think it keeps you.
It's a little
balanced.
more. It's a little more centered, and it's a little more, I guess, streamlined.
But
Yeah.
it's quantitative. You need to quantify it, period.
All right, Tiff, what do you got? You got a goal for this year?
I'll let Tyler go first.
All right.
One of my big goals this year, I think it streams a little bit from yours of making more time. I would really like to start prioritizing my house.
Okay.
So
You did some work on your house last year. You
Yeah.
got a new deck.
Yeah, I
you
did.
Put in some floors last week.
Yep, did that. But there's
What do you got on the docket for this year?
the big one is I want to refloor the entire house. Already in the process of doing that a little bit. I also want to kind of get my basement in order. Maybe put some rubber flooring down in there, paint the walls.
Okay.
Just make it a more usable, appealing space.
All right. That's fair. That's a good goal. Tiff, you want to give us one?
Well, I guess I'm running a marathon this year, so
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to me. No, so I kind of put one of my goals on hold, and if the marathon goes well, I am going to try my best in September to run a 24-hour race. I also have some books that I would like to finish reading and pick up reading that I
Wait,
have
you
recently
know how to
got.
read?
I am going to punt you into next week.
That could be fun.
And I think I got busy at the end of the year, and I know I just said not to incentivize things, but I find that working out does help my stress levels because I'm an angry elf if I haven't exerted some energy.
Oh, there's good science.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
data to back that up.
Yeah, so I get my Wednesdays back at the gym every morning at 6 o'clock and just getting back in there. Not to mention, I just like the people that go. We have a good time that working out together.
Fitness is about community.
And that type of thing. And I know we do a lot already, but just some more fun trips with me and Amos and, going back to the zoo. We didn't go to the zoo hardly at all this year. We didn't go to the museum.
Yeah, didn't
so
make as many as you have in
getting
previous
back
years.
into our mom and him routine kind of thing.
All right, that's fair. Let's see. Fitness goals for me. I'm going to try to run an Ironman, a full Ironman this year. Training starts for
That's
that.
a big ass goal.
Yeah, I know. I did the half last year, the 70.3.
I think you can do it.
I'm about 90, and this is probably arrogant of me, but I'm about 92% confident I can. And it's just a matter of being able to get in the time to train. And I work from home. I have the time. There's no reason I can't. I just got to prioritize it.
Yeah. Is Matt going to do that with you or no?
Nope.
Yeah, it's probably okay.
Yeah, he says that he's his days of racing, like actual races, he thinks they're over, which is fine.
I mean, that's not a race. That's
Yeah, no, obviously
that's in a different planet.
It's 144.6 miles or something like that. So yeah, you swim 2 miles.
I mean, there's no shame in not being able to do an Ironman.
No, but I want to do it.
No, that's a great
And
goal.
like I said, I'm about 92% confident I can complete it. I just got to get the time in to train. So that's one of my fitness goals of the year. That really probably is my year because it's at the end of September, so it'll take most of the year to train for it. And then, I'm going to run the marathon with Tiff in a couple months just for fun.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, you should do the half with me in February.
You got any fitness goals, Tyler?
No. I have fitness goals. They're kind of general, I think. I definitely want to just be healthier overall.
Yeah.
Again, with the time and everything like that, I want to try to prioritize, maybe not specifically exercising, but at least just getting out and moving and doing something.
Yep.
Eating healthier, maybe drop a little weight.
Well, you did a little frisbee golf last year. You need
Yeah.
to get into that a little more.
Yeah, I think that's definitely an easy way to start doing that. I
You
definitely
even put up your own little,
I
what
got
are they
my
called?
Basket.
Basket,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got my own basket in my yard now, so that's cool. Just try to do more to prioritize healthier life choices, I think.
That's fair.
I think the biggest thing we do with that is cooking at home throughout the week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, planning on Sunday, here's what we're going to have on Monday, here's what we're going to have on Tuesday, who's going to make it, at what time we're going to make it.
Yeah,
It
and
definitely helps.
yeah, and I definitely could. I think I could help more with cooking and meals too, and I think that'll actually do a lot of good for what I'm trying to go for here.
No, I think so too. Let's see. All right. Do I have any other, Tiff, you got any other goals for the year?
I don't think so. I don't do financial things because you do that, so I don't have
Yeah.
any financial goals. I just
Well, you do, but I'm taking care of them. we always do great with those. I'm
he
very good at
manages
those.
my portfolio. I want to be. This is going to be so hard, but I want to be.
That's what she said.
Shit.
Couldn't help it.
Now I lost my train of thought.
This is going to be so hard.
I want to be less invested outside of my work hours in the things that happen at my work.
That would be good for you. Yeah, you need to do that.
Because I live, breathe, and eat my job, and I'm really proud of what I do, but I also allow that. What the
That was kind
are
of
you
cool.
doing?
shooting corks.
Tyler's shooting corks while I'm trying to be sentimental.
Popping
Anyway,
bottles.
I find that I get wound up outside of work, and it affects my sleep. It affects my attitude, and I think I need to do a better job of it.
And how many times did I tell you? Just don't worry about it. It means nothing.
That's really hard for me to do, but I'm going to try my best.
The thing that we all have to realize is we are nothing but a number to them. They might know your name, but you're still just a number. You quit tomorrow, they don't care. They're going to have you replaced next week.
Yep.
That's I think I don't know. It's just kind of a mind shift that I made a couple years ago. I was like, I'm just a number. I mean, yeah, I like my job. I enjoy my job. I'm pretty good at my job. But at the end of the day, it's just a job, and that's the way we need to learn to treat it.
I think there's very few people who are actually passionate about their jobs.
I am. I'm passionate about my job.
I said there are very few people who
Yeah.
are passionate
But it's
about
a
their jobs.
problem.
No, I enjoy my job, and like I said, I think I'm pretty dang good at it. But
But passionate means to suffer.
No,
Yeah, it does.
maybe in your definition.
The biblical definition is to suffer.
Well, I'm not religious, so
we ain't going down that road.
No, I'm just saying in the context of where that word originated from.
Sure.
Yeah,
No,
you
yeah.
suffer. But I think Tyler could work on that too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
work on what?
Not being stressed outside of your work hours about things that are happening at work.
I think I've done a lot better at that, actually. I've been a lot better at it since I left project management.
Well, with that job.
What about that job?
Oh, so you've maybe done better with that job, but you also carry the stress from the other job.
Yeah, but I'd say it's a lot lower stress.
It is, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's low stakes for you overall. There's not you don't have much invested. I mean, you do, but not in terms of.
But I think you and I ruminate, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
We ruminate on things. He will forget about it in 2 seconds, and we will think about it for days.
No, you're right.
And it's just not good for your physical health.
No.
Yeah, obviously mental health, but physical health, cortisol levels bad
Right.
for you.
Right.
So, yeah, all right. Both of you work on being less stressed about work. If you need some help, just ask me. You know what I'll tell you.
Fuck 'em.
Yep, exactly. They don't care. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on episode 31, Death Row and Resolutions, I guess is what we're going to call this one.
This was a wild ride.
I know.
This is a good episode. I like this episode.
Yeah, no. Share with us. Give us. Obviously, we kind of played both sides of the death row debate. So give us your thoughts on yay or nay, why you are for and/or against, if you are, and then share in the comments section. I'm gonna start a poll this week. Give us your death row meal. If you could only choose one thing, what would be your death row meal? And we'll catch you on the flip side on episode 32 in a couple of weeks.
Hell yeah. Be safe, guys. Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to Loggers and Loudmouths. Be sure to never miss an episode by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast streaming service. If you would like to provide feedback or suggest a topic for a future episode, please reach out to us at loggersandloudmouths@gmail.com.